Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wool Decanted from the Island Woolery. Well, we have been very busy since we last spoke to you. We've been at two more shows, both of them hectic, but great fun. At the beginning of this month, October, we were at Alexandra Palace at the Knit and Stitch show, which is an enormous show, by far our biggest show, but 30,000 visitors. And we had 4 full-on show days there, which was great. And we'd just no sooner unpacked than we had to pack up again and make our way to Glasgow for the Glasgow School of Yarn show, which was another hectic and fun show. We've got some video footage of the shows at the end of this video, just so you can see our 2 stands at the shows. Our stalls looked slightly different at each show, but at both shows we were thinking about gift knitting. And we were focusing on the range of knitting kits that we've created to help you knit beautiful presents for your friends and family. And let's face it, who doesn't like to gift themselves too? I just think there's something so special about receiving handmade gifts at Christmas. It just adds that personal touch of love, I think, during the holidays. And the gift kits were very popular at both shows, and in fact, we sold out of the four-ply versions by the time Glasgow was finished. But we're back home now, and we're fully restocked, so we thought we'd give you a quick tour of the knitting kits display. This is the Betty Shawlette. It's a simple 2-skein project that I can knit up in less than a week. We got terrific feedback at the shows, and what people really liked was how it sits at the neck. So it has been designed to be smaller than a regular shawl so that it fits neatly around your neck. It's still warm and cozy, and it's terrific for layering. It's a very simple construction. It's the triangle knit from tip to tip, flat, and with a straight edge here, and increasing to the middle point there, and then decreasing to the second point there. It's got the now well-used I-cord edge at each edge, keeping it very neat. The I-cord is made by slipping the last 3 stitches on each row with your yarn in front before you turn and knit back. And it's got a lovely textured center made with eyelets, which are, again, easy to knit. They're done by using a yarn over and then knit 2 together for the length of the eyelet rows. I've included at the back of the pattern some row trackers so that you can literally tick off row by row where you're at and what you're supposed to be doing. It's knit completely in garter stitch, so very, very easy. And I think that this would make a lovely gift, a lovely personal gift, with plenty of color combinations to choose from. That was another piece of feedback, that people really enjoyed walking along the crates and picking out the colors they wanted to use. And in fact, I've just started, let's see if I can get it. I've just started another one with claret as the main color and river thyme as the color tips. And Betty herself, my mother, has requested a Midnight Lagoon version, so that'll be on my needles next week. That's Betty kits are on our website now, so go and have a look. The second design and is a beanie, and I did a lot of searching on Ravelry trying to find something which was a winter hat featuring trees, but it wasn't too overt. And I have to say that I couldn't actually find anything. It's probably due to my search functionality. So I decided to create our own. So this is the Magic Forest by Watercounter Designs. You can see here it's a very simple pattern construct. You've got these lovely delicate trees, and they're just repeated in section 2. And then right at the top, Linda and I disagree. You could call them stars, or you could call them snowflakes. But each of those stars has been realigned so it runs parallel with the trees. The pattern itself, the original pattern that I designed, I created in 4-ply because it's sort of light and airy and more suitable for a slightly warmer climate. And as you know, we're based in southern England. So the brim, a very simple knit and stitch brim of around 4 inches. I personally really like it doubled up because I think that does provide a little bit more warmth. And then I went straight into the actual tree design you can see here. The trees, I really love them because they're quite delicate. I've put a couple of snowflakes here at the bottom just to break up floats. And the trees themselves are straightforward 10 stitch repeat. So really, really easy. And I would say suitable for beginners who are new to colour work because you're not carrying over the float too much. So simply 2 trees repeat, 10 stitch repeat, and then we move into the brim of the hat. I like to call these stars or snowflakes. Each of these snowflakes is actually aligned with the top of the trees just to add a bit more interest. And they're created actually in the decrease section as well. But you're not actually decreasing stitches actually around the stars either side as well. So she's a very simple pattern, but I think really, well, I thought she was lovely and would be suitable for autumn, winter. You could consider this also for Christmas, obviously, but I created this hat so that she could last more than just around the Christmas festive period. So I just put her on, see her in the back. As she sits deliberately very snug around the rim. You can see the top of the hat there, with a very simple decrease section. So this hat also is a really quick knit because it's so easy, because you're just repeating the simple trees and the simple stars, and she's made with just 2 skeins of yarn. The colours that I chose here was the natural 4-ply, which, as you know, is a lovely unique blend of Polwarth, Romney and Black Shetland. And then I chose also Bottle Green, which I think is a beautiful wintry colour, but also you can associate it with trees. I also deliberately reversed the pattern. You could do the same. So I actually like the thought of the trees being in natural with a green background, but obviously you could swap that round and create green trees with a natural background. So she's the hat is quite lightweight, but it's lovely to spangle around your head, and as you can see, not too overt. So that was the first edition, but Linda decided to go one step further. So Linda decided to create a deluxe version, which is this hat here. The deluxe version is different because you can see the brim there is different. It's doubled up with a simple nipple on nipple repeat, but I would say it's a heavier weight hat, so it'll keep you much warmer than the 4-ply version. And the reason why it's deluxe is because you've got obviously a double brim at the bottom, and I would say the trees are a lot more prominent, and it feels much probably so. You can see these side by side, so it's exactly the same pattern, but you can also see the difference in terms of what yarn weight, how that makes the actual stitches more prominent. So I was saying the DK version of the hat, which is this one, has a more prominent tree design than the 4-ply version, which is slightly more delicate. The reason why also it's called our deluxe version is number skeins. So Linda actually went slightly over. So to create that exact hat, you would require 2 skeins of our gorgeous vintage 23 DK, which you can see there, that lovely light grey base, together with 1 skein of the bottle green. So we went slightly over, and that was because of the brim, that you could also consider making the brim slightly shorter. To that's a generous 4-inch. If you made that just a 3-inch brim, then that would just take 2 skeins, or you go the deluxe version and create a lovely pom-pom on the top, which we haven't done because we haven't had time. So the Magic Forest, this is the pattern here. You can also find that separately on our website. It was quite a hit at the show. As you know, we just come back from Glasgow, which is a great show for us. I was quite surprised because we actually sold more of the DK deluxe version than the 4-ply. But I think that's probably also weather related, it being much colder island, colder climate than the UK. And then I'll just briefly show you the pattern, which is here. And it's a very simple pattern construct with the trees and the lovely stars or snowflakes, which were against the decrease. The majority of people at the show bought the colours that we suggested, which was the these two. But one person did buy, which I haven't got to handle actually, but did buy it with a view of creating it in the natural, together with the Midnight Lagoon, which is this colour here, which I think would be absolutely lovely. And the pattern is called Magic Forest because we have a little dog called Edie, and we spend every single day walking her in the woods, and she has such a great time. We know it's magical for her because she finds so many different things in the forest, and it's just lovely to watch. So anyway, we would love to know what you think. So please do comment. We'd love to know whether you like the Magic Forest and whether we should keep on carrying on with our designs because we really do value your feedback. And then for one final little thing was about our labelling. This is a learning. So you can see here, this is our original label. And as you can see, it's very clear. It says vintage 23, but it's not clear what weight it is. So thanks very much to Carol at Knit With Me in Richmond. And we have now made it a bit clearer. So on each of our labels now, we clearly state at the very front whether it's DK or 4-ply yarn so that people don't get confused. Anyway, that's it for me. I'll be returning to talk you through our Crimson Petal Beanie and a bit later on. It's Lisa again. I'm back to introduce you to another beanie pattern that I hope you will like. But before I do so, I just wanted to share a book that has really helped me. And I actually found it a treasure trove, really, because it's full of so much inspiration. It's a book called Knittivation by Andrea Rangel. And I love this book so much because it's full of very simple motifs that you can use within your knitting for inspiration. And also Andrea doesn't mind you using it for commercial purposes. And obviously we are creating patterns forward canted for commercial purposes. Anyway, this book had around 150 different types of motifs. And I started flicking through this, and this is where I got my original inspiration for the Crimson Beanie. She has created lots of different types, and so you can see here full of lots of different motifs. But the section that I loved the most were some of the flower patterns, because I just love flowers and I think they are just gorgeous. So that was my inspiration behind Crimson Petal Beanie. I'll just take note. I think it was written now. So Crimson Beanie was a very simple pattern construct. It's designed in DK, so it's a lovely warm knit. And the reason why I chose these two colours and this design, whereas as we head into winter, I always think it's nice to have a bit of a ray of sunshine. So the flowers, as you can see, are made here with Shepherd's Delight, which is a lovely deep red-orange colour, just to give a bit of colour punch for the dull light that we have during the autumn and the winter. So the pattern construct is very straightforward again. I've got a very straightforward knit and stitch brim. I made that quite short deliberately because I wanted to maintain a pattern that only used 2 skeins of our yarn. So I think that brim only measured 2 inches. I then went into the motif section So these I call little leaflets that are coming out of a brim, and then I punctuated those with another motif just to break up the floats, so you're not carrying more floats across. And then we then go into the actual crimson petal itself. The longest, from my memory, the longest stitch here I think was around 7 stitches, so not too long. It's quite easy to carry the yarn as floss. And then for the top of the hat, we went into the decrease section. We created a very simple red line, I can't remember what else to call it. But the idea behind that is you have a little ray of sunshine coming out of the top of her crown. So she's a very cozy knit as well. You see here. She sits beautifully on the head. And similar to all our beanie designs, we don't have a long crown because we don't like them hanging off our heads. So a very simple crown decrease as well. So crimson, if you don't take a quick look there. Here she is. She's just a simple 2-skein project made in DK yarn, punctured colour, and selected natural grey DK as the main colour. And then I introduced Shepherd's Delight, which, as I've mentioned, was beautiful, rich, orangey red colour that's given this lovely bit of punch. And so hopefully it will brighten up your autumn days. So I'm now going to pass her over to Linda. So how about another gift suggestion? A matching pair of Colour Pop Fingerless Mittens, keeping your hands warm and your fingers free. These are so simple, and they are knitted up in 2 skeins of our DK yarn this time, and basically it's a rectangle, cast on and knit a 3-inch cuff, change colour and knit the hand, change colour and knit the rib top. Fold it in half and mattress stitch up the side and leave a couple of inches for the thumb. And there you have it, very simple. So not only would these make a lovely gift as finished items, but the kit itself, which would be 2 skeins of DK and a free pattern, would make a lovely gift for any beginner knitters that you know. And from this one kit, you ought to be able to make 2 pairs of mittens, so you could interchange the color combination. In the pattern, I've given a link, I've provided a link to a slow motion video tutorial by Very Pink Knit on mattress stitching, which is used to sew up the sides. So that makes it quite clear. And then you can cast off the top as normal, but I've also provided a video link to a Brooklyn tweed tutorial on the Italian tubular bind-up, which is the one where you sew it off using tapestry needle, and it's, let's see if I get this right, it's the knit off, purl on, purl off, knit on, that's right, and it gives that edge that looks as though the stitches are folding over the top. Very nice. So that's either something on its own or as a matching kit. But there you go. These kits are also on the website, so go have a look at those. Hi, it's Lisa here, and we're recording live from Alexandra Palace. It's the final day of the show, which is our 4th consecutive day, and we are really looking forward to meeting lots of new people today. So for those of you that haven't been to Alexandra Palace before, it really is a fantastic show. I think this year they're saying there are around 30,000 visitors in total, and we certainly have experienced that in terms of the number of people that have been visiting the stand. The best day I think has probably been for visiting was Thursday. Thursday I think was the quietest day. Saturday, which was yesterday, was absolutely heaving. And today I don't think the tickets are sold out, but we're expecting
another busy day. So we are located on stand E44, which is a very small stand. I'll show you that to you in a minute. It's just 2.5 by 2 meters square, which sounds quite big, but it was really difficult for us to unpack our stuff and get into the stand. And then we have experienced that we have a lot of people walking down the aisle, which I'll show you very shortly. But it does mean that people struggle to actually get into our stand because I think it's quite small, but also because it's been extremely busy. So Ali Pali is a fantastic venue. It's a very historical building, which is full of inspiration. The whole show has been full of people with selling Barony yarn, with lots of needlecraft items, lots of textiles, and they also have some really fantastic workshops. It actually was the very first BBC broadcast game from Alexander Palace, also in 1936, which we think is amazing. And apparently it was the first time that television was shot using the HDR format, which I had no idea that it was done in as early as 1936, but it's probably a different technology that I'm talking about. So Linda's off labelling at the moment, so I'm on my own. And we've got about, I would say, 45 minutes till showtime until the doors open. It's been an incredibly tiring show for us. We obviously did around 2 weeks of preparation before we got here. And then we head stand on the Wednesday, and then it's 4 days of full-on show. Standing up and from around, from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. with lots and lots of chatting. We've had a couple of clients and I wasn't able to answer their questions. I had one lady that came into the stand who was apparently allergic to wool. So I did ask her, due to health and safety reasons, whether she wouldn't mind leaving the stand. And then the second lady who got very, very, very frustrated with one item in particular, which is the same sweater, which I'll show you over here, which is getting like clip that bit. But incredibly frustrated because she was used to knitting in flat needles, and it was very frustrated. We had a garment on the stand which was knitted in circular, so we spent a lot of time talking to her, but I still don't think we convinced her. So this is the main focus of the stand, which, as you can see, is our beautiful yarn, with our lighting. And I would say by far the most popular colours this year have been a natural grey, which is in the middle, and also the midnight doom, which is in the top right. And then this is the same sweater, which I think you've probably seen before. This was the garment the lady got very frustrated with because it was knitted in circular needles. It's the same sweater by a very talented. No? And then this was quite a showstopper, actually. This shawl here was designed by Joe Butler of Twin Set and Pearls. Joe originally designed it in the iron dust colour, and we found it wasn't particularly popular. But in natural, it's really done extremely well. And he uses 3 skeins of 4-ply. That's really, really fun. And then we go around here. I'm going to show you the knitting kits in more detail when we get to Glasgow, but we've got a new feature here, which is featuring British kits. And then we then have the iron scarf, which you've probably seen in the previous video. And then this still is my showstopper for us. It's a Cloudsy by Isabel Kramer. People just fall in love with the back garment there. I think it's also the colour, which is on Midnight Lagoon. And also it's a very quick knit. Only takes 5 skeins of our natural 4-ply. So that's been really popular as well. And time to introduce you to our secret little cubbyhole. As you can see here, it's our little collapsible camping chair, but actually it's been fantastic and very much well needed. And people are quite surprised because sometimes they're on the stand, suddenly see a foot, and there we are hiding by having a little well-earned break. So that's the end of episode 4. We really do hope that you've enjoyed our content. If you have any suggestions of what we'd like us to show next time, please do drop us a comment, give us a like, give us a subscription, and also potentially share, as any little action you give helps our small business grow. We're now at just over 400 subscribers on YouTube. We'd love to get to 500. Getting to 500 would mean we get a little bit of help from YouTube in terms of pushing our content out to more people like you. So if you could do anything to like us on this channel, we'd really appreciate it. So thanks for watching. We'll be back again in a month's time. We'll be featuring some ideas potentially to take you through the Christmas period. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves and hope we've enjoyed this short show. Thanks.